What's up? Hey, hello, everyone. Wow. So we're back today going to be talking about Survivor Season 39, Island of the Idol. So my name is Rachel.
And I'm Alyssa, and you guys probably noticed that we went MIA for like 3 weeks, basically a month. And the reason that is we normally do our podcast using Google Hangouts, but YouTube stopped supporting that like function. So
SMH.
yeah, so there was a period of time. Well, first we were both like on vacations and stuff, and now we're both like doing school. So that's cool. But there's a period of time when we were looking for like a new way to do what we normally do because we didn't want to have to like change the way we do our things. And YouTube made it very complicated because you can stream with one webcam, but you can't stream with two webcams, which is obviously what we do. So we're using a third party host right now, as you can probably see in the top right. Yeah, the top right of the screen, we have a little watermark. We're using a website called StreamYard that lets us stream together. So we'll be getting back to our normal once a week schedule after we do some real fast preseason stuff because the show starts this Wednesday, a fact that blows my mind because, wow, that
Yeah.
hiatus went by real fast.
So we're back, and today we're doing a cast assessment. And if any of you do streaming or anything and have other sites that we can use to podcast that isn't Google Hangouts, because that's not a thing anymore, please let us know in the comments because we are definitely looking for other things to be using since it's been a long time. But I am so freaking excited to be back here doing this. I've missed it. Australian Survivor just ended. Big Brother is going to end this week too. And then Survivor US is going to start. So I'm just really excited. It's a lot of reality TV that is happening right now. And so Alyssa and I are also just doing life. Senior year of college, a little life update about that. And we're going to graduate soon. So we've been doing this for quite some time.
Yep, and we don't intend to stop anytime soon. So if you were worried that this hiatus meant that we're like no longer into Survivor, that's not it. We're just lazy and busy. So it was hard to find another alternative. But
Yeah.
yeah, we're going to be doing our cast assessment, and then hopefully tomorrow we will be streaming our boot list predictions. And then sometime in this coming week, we'll be doing our episode 1 review.
Yep.
Yay!
So back to the normal schedule of weekly recaps for the season, but jumping right into the cast assessment, this is probably going to be one of our longer videos. It always is because we're going to talk through all 20 of the brand new castaways for Survivor season 39. This year, it is 2 tribes split into 10 each, with the yellow tribe called Laro and the purple tribe called Vokai. I thought this was interesting because with the Boston Rob and Sandra twist, we also have some other Survivor Season 39 videos on the channel on a playlist. We'll have it linked down below later, but definitely check those out. We talk about Boston Rob and Sandra, but I was sort of surprised that there are going to be 20 people considering the lack of screen times a lot of people get a lot of the time. So I feel like with 20 people and Boston Rob and Sandra, I'm a little worried for screen time for people.
Yeah, there's always like one or two people every season when we're like, they competed, and sometimes it's worse than others. Like, I'm pretty sure we talked most of Ghost Island about how it's like we don't remember anyone except for Wendell and Dominic because Wendell and Dominic were the only people who got screen time. So, yeah.
Yeah, and so 20 people, there is no marooning this season. So people, they're just going to be literally dropped off on the beach, not seeing Jeff Probst. And apparently that's a twist for the season. And then the one person will be sent to go see Boston Rob and Sandra in the first episode. So I feel like it will be interesting to see with the first episode, and it's only an hour because Big Brother is happening, the finale on Wednesday night. So not even a 90-minute premiere episode. So I feel like the editing is going to be very lopsided, but in the weeks to come, I would be interested in seeing how the editing is. Is this going to be like Edge of Extinction, where sometimes we felt that the Edge of Extinction segments on the episodes were too long? Or is it going to be like a 2-minute thing every episode? But I doubt it with Boston Rob and Sandra. They're going to make it like a 10-minute segment every episode. And I'm like, sometimes that's just too much. Like, I want to get to know the 20 freaking people on the beach.
It's like how Cochran got more screen time that one season than people who actually played the game. So, yeah, I'm also kind of worried about the editing just because with commercials, it ends up being like 45 minutes, 44 minutes normally. And when you divide that by 20 people, assuming everyone gets equal screen time, that's already only going to be 2 minutes per person. And then when you consider the like challenges, they don't like focus on a person. And like you said, them going to the island of the idols is probably going to take up a lot of time, especially this first time around. So I think that the first episode of the season is going to be really indicative of who we need to watch the rest of the season, just because I think if they don't get any um, screen time this first episode, it means they're just not that important.
Yeah, and so overall reactions for the tribes, everyone seems at least semi-normal. For this podcast, Alyssa and I looked at Survivor Wiki, so the little Q&A everyone does, and then also watching the little like 90-second videos that Survivor on CBS posted on Instagram, because apparently, I guess on our YouTube for Survivor on CBS, they don't post the long like 5 to 7 minute videos anymore, but that's what we're basing our cast assessment off of. Obviously, it's not a ton of information to base season long predictions for, but like this is what we're going off of. Let us know when we're talking about people if you think similarly, differently, if you think people are going to go far or be the first boot. But I feel like with this cast, looking at everyone, I like the cast. I feel like no one really stands out too much as like a dud or someone that could be a first boot, but everyone seems pretty normal, and there's not like so many supermodels or like crazy attractive people, but it's like a good mix and like a lot more diversity than usual, I feel like.
Yeah, and I feel like they also have slightly better age diversity this time around. Like it doesn't look like they're all teenagers or like mid 20s or whatever. So,
Yeah, there's a 59-year-old, there's a 60-year-old, and I'm like, wow, when was the last time we had that? And like
no,
multiple.
getting it done at 51. But
So I think something that I noticed, it was interesting that a lot of people are from similar areas in the United States. So there's like multiple New Jersey and New Yorkers, and then less so California, which I feel like is always a trend. There's so many people from LA, but I thought it was interesting. New Jersey, New York seem to pop up a lot, and people with just similar jobs. It seems like people are like sort of juxtaposed in their work life. Like we have multiple lawyers, we have multiple like school professional staff people, college admissions counselor, that kind of thing. We have multiple swimmers. So I'm like, was the season supposed to be like battle of the jobs or something where they would purposefully have two people of like similar jobs and then they would verse or something? But no, I guess that didn't happen. But it just seems like weirdly coincidental that there's like two of every single job.
I think it's interesting though because I feel like there are a lot of thematically similar jobs. Like basically every Survivor season, I feel like there's a lawyer, and like every Survivor season, you seem to get a school teacher. And I wonder if that's partially because of like who can afford to take off their work for like a month and a half, and also partially because like certain people like they like to cast them as archetypes, and I wonder if like a person's job is starting to like play into that whole archetypical casting that they like to do.
No, yeah, I could definitely see that. Like, that's super interesting. Like, obviously, teachers can probably get or have their summers off, so it's easier for them to leave versus people who have more difficult jobs to leave for the summer.
Yeah, and like there's a professional poker player, and I imagine that's a pretty easy job to get time off of. So,
Yeah, so jumping right in, we are going to be starting with the yellow tribe, so Lauro, and then we're going to be doing alphabetical by first names of the yellow tribe, and then going into the purple tribe and doing alphabetical for that tribe. So starting off from the top, we have Aaron. He is a 36-year-old who is from Connecticut originally and then living in Rhode Island now, and he's a gym owner. And so some things that really stood out for me when reading his Survivor Wiki bio is that he has a son. So I think that's an interesting aspect because I feel like a lot of the other people, if they were married or have children, they didn't necessarily mention it. And so Aaron with the son, he for his like interesting facts thing, he said he had a kettle corn business. So he would drive up and down the East Coast popping popcorn at fairs, which was neat. And so I feel like he has sort of, I guess, like an entrepreneurial mindset kind of thing. If he's a gym owner and he did this kettle corn thing, like, which could be good for him. But I feel like he just looks like the person that you would vote out at the merge because he looks like that stereotypical buff dude who would be perfect to be voted off at the merge because he looks very, very strong.
And I think it makes sense that he's very strong considering he owns a gym. Some of the things that stuck out to me about him was that one of his words that he uses to describe himself is attractive. And I'm like, yikes. Yikes. That's just like, it seems very vain to me that like you only get 3 words and you're like, I definitely have to include attractive. And then also he says that he's like Ozzy. And I feel like I've said this before. I feel like I say this every time someone compares themselves to certain Survivor players, but like Ozzy played a buttload of times and he never won. I don't think you want to be comparing yourself to him.
No, yeah, I wrote that. I noted also that he wrote that he was most like Ozzy, like physical, camp contributor, smart player, social threat, but also like, oh, yeah, Ozzy gets voted out every time because he's those things. He's physical, he provides, he's a social threat. And it was interesting. Aaron says that he wants to come in with a strong social game because he knows he'll have a huge target on his back as a physical threat. Like he literally looks so freaking buff jacked. Like I wouldn't want to hang around him because he's such a physical threat. So I thought that was interesting. Like, good for you being aware of what you look like and what you'll be perceived as on the show. But I just like, he looks like a merge boot.
Yeah, it's like he knows how he's perceived, but he doesn't really seem to have a plan of how to like be better than Ozzy. Like my thing is, whenever people compare themselves to non-winners of the season, I like them to say, "I'm like Ozzy, but I'm planning on playing a more strategic game," or "I'm like Ozzy, but I'm going to try to be less of like I'm going to try to play down the fact that I'm a physical threat." Because if you're comparing yourself to a player who didn't win, you should be able to figure out what the weak points in that player's game were before you compare yourself to them. Because otherwise, I just think you're going to fall into the same trap.
No, yeah, exactly. I think that's a really good way to put it. Overall, Aaron, I'm like, he's sort of on my list. Like, not really someone that stands out to me, like, as a winner pick or someone that could be a first boot. He's just sort of like there. I don't know.
Yeah, they'll keep him for a while because they need to win immunity challenges, but yeah.
Yeah. So moving on, second person is Chelsea. She is 26 from New Jersey and now she's in LA as a digital content creator. She says that she's been applying since she was 21. So the past 6 years, it seems like Jeff Probst is really liking of her based off like the Instagram video kind of thing. Like they knew that they wanted to cast her kind of thing after she's been applying for so long. And with Chelsea, she says she likes to work out, go to the beach, play soccer, play sports, and her pet peeve is dad sneakers. So I feel like I wrote this comment for multiple of the people on this cast, but it seems like they're like the sort of millennial kind of, oh, I'm trying to be quirky, cool, and trying to be relatable by having sort of super millennial pet peeves like dad sneakers.
Yeah, and I think it's weird because it's kind of the like, haha, I'm not like other girls thing where it's like,
Yes.
It doesn't actually make me like you anymore. I think it's interesting because Chelsea talked about how she's been applying for the show since she was 21. She's 26 now, so it's been 6 years, or I guess that would be 12 application cycles that she went through that she didn't get in, and now she's finally in. So good for her. If you have been applying to Survivor for 6 years, you too could eventually get picked.
Yeah, the sort of basic millennial girl seeming, I guess. I feel like she can make it very far in the game. She has sort of that personality, that look that I think she can make it far. And just from the video, from the Q&A bio, it seems like she's a guy's girl. So I think she'll get along with the alpha males and they'd be good shields. And then she can get sort of far in the game. But I feel like being 26 and being a young, attractive female, she might not get respected as much if she made Final Tribal just because of like that kind of archetype, which is sort of crappy. But I definitely feel like she could come off too strong at the beginning and get voted out because she is such a big fan, and the whole applying for 6 years thing could get her voted out early because she comes off too strong.
She also describes herself as competitive, which I feel like obviously to some extent every Survivor person is competitive because they wouldn't like go on a reality TV show about competition if they weren't. But like I feel like that also would contribute to her coming on too strong. So also she said her inspiration in life was Larry David because he respects wood. And I'm like, where did that comment come from? Like, I don't understand why respecting wood is like something she felt the need to put on her
Who is Larry
application.
David?
I have no clue.
The other person, like we'll get to it when we go down, but someone else said that they were inspired by someone I didn't know. And I actually Googled that person, but I didn't Google this person. But like she also says she wants to be or is like Kelly Wentworth and Parvati. And I'm like, okay, this is very basic. Of course, just pick the two like most famous ones.
Apparently, Larry David co created the television series Seinfeld, and
Oh.
he wrote a lot of the episodes for seasons 1 to 7.
I guess, yeah, see, we aren't relatable. We don't know these things.
I mean, isn't Seinfeld for like old people?
I don't know if you can say that.
I was told that Seinfeld was for old people. So I don't know.
So, next person we have Dean, who is 28, also from New Jersey originally, is in New York City now working in tech sales. I like Dean from his video and his bio. He looks like Blake from the Bachelor slash Bachelorette slash Bachelor in Paradise. If you all have not seen, no, he looks like Blake. Yes, did I say that or did I say Dean? Now I don't know, but he looks like Blake from The Bachelorette, and I'm like, holy crap! They literally look so freaking similar. If you don't know him, like Google Blake from The Bachelor, and I'm like, wow, they are identical. And now I'm just confused.
Yeah, I like Dean because his last name is Kowalski, and that's very similar to the last name of one of our teachers
Oh
who
my
we
god.
bothered to like try and apply for Survivor. And our physics teacher, who is like part of the reason why we made this channel in the first place, he was telling us a story about like eating a scorpion or whatever. And the first time I saw Dean's name, I was like, "Holy crap, is that our physics teacher?" And then I was like, "Wait." This
Except our physics teacher in high school is literally like middle aged and like super thin.
Yeah, they're nothing alike, but like I like him just because of that like association. So
Yeah, I feel like Dean, he seems like a cool dude. I agree with his pet peeves, which was people honking in dead stop traffic, something about airplanes and like their roommates not doing dirty dishes and leaving them in the sink for a while. I was like, okay. Also trying to be a relatable person, but I can relate, so I appreciate those. Words to words to describe him, he said jovial, observant, and likable. I feel like Dean, he has a nice smile. He could have a killer social game. He just looks like he's super like I want to be his friend kind of thing. And he said he was a teacher before he went into tech sales, so he's good at talking with people. He's caring. He's got like kids to do that kind of stuff. So I feel like I like Dean.
Also, he said he was like Wendell, and I really appreciate that comparison because Wendell won the game for one thing, and he also said like the thing about Wendell that he admired was his leadership skills, which I think is interesting.
LOL, when the lights go off in my room because I'm not moving enough.
Are your lights like motion activated?
Yeah, okay, I'll go turn those back on, I guess. But no. But yeah, he is also self-aware because and has social intelligence he writes about. I liked his answer. And he's saying in the video how he thinks that salesmen come off as like sleazy. He played basketball, so he doesn't want to be super athletic seeming. So he's sort of going to hide those things about himself. So I'm like, oh, I didn't even make the connection that people might think salesmen are sleazy. So good for him because I wouldn't have even thought of that. So he's thinking ahead, and I could really see Dean go far.
I think the only kind of salesmen that people think are sleazy are car salesmen, but that might also just be like a personal bias. So I don't know.
Yeah, so Dean, he looks like a frat dude, but like a friendly frat dude, goofball kind of cute dude.
Yeah, he's like a frat bro, but like a harmless looking frat bro.
Yeah, the ones you want to be friends with.
Yeah.
So, moving on, we have Elaine, who is 41. She is from Kentucky and still in Kentucky, and she's a factory worker. First thing I wrote, I was like, is Lauren an archetype now? Like, sort of how nerdy girl/boy and Southern people are becoming archetypes. I'm like, wow, okay. Interesting archetype that is forming here. And so Elaine, she's very outdoorsy. She says she likes four-wheeling, fishing, and boating. Words to describe herself, she said she was stubborn. So I feel like, okay, at least you recognize it, but also that's probably not good for Survivor, especially as like this kind of archetype. It might be more difficult because usually the older people are seen as like people that don't fit into the group in general. So I worry about that for Elaine, but like in her video, she was seemingly like really, really cool. She looked like she had a fun personality, and she says she wants to catch more fish than Rupert. I was like, damn, okay, let's go.
I think one of the things I appreciate about like Lauren and Elaine is that they're not just like casting like sticks or like muscly women to play the game, because I feel like men they cast a more diverse group of body types than they do for women. So I appreciate that she's not like perfect hourglass figure or whatever. And I wouldn't mind if like Lauren became an archetype, honestly. Just because like I don't think anyone within that archetype would ever win the game, but I think they add a really interesting like spice to the game.
Yeah, I feel like I like Elaine because she's a strong woman and she wants to be inspirational for girls. I'm like, okay, like let's see more of that. That is really, really cool. And she thinks she'll be underestimated, which I could also totally see because of her like age or appearance, maybe. And I think Elaine, she could go early, but I think if she makes it past the like early boots, then I feel like she could go really far. She seems like she talks a lot, but and is like loud, but if she can control that or like people don't get rubbed the wrong way with it, then I think she can go very far into the game. Jeff seems to be really liking Elaine too in the video. He was like, we've never had anyone like Elaine on the show. People will root for her. So if Jeff likes her, I feel like she can't be the first boot.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes you can tell who gets far in the season by who Jeff likes.
Does Jeff like the winners?
You can tell whether or not Jeff likes the winner based on how much he hypes the season.
That's also true. So, moving on, we have Elizabeth. I was going to say her last name because like I watch a lot of Olympic swimming, but yes, Elizabeth. She is 26 from Rhode Island and she is an Olympic medalist in swimming. And so, I'm super excited to watch Elizabeth. Like I said, I like swam competitively in high school, so I know Olympic swimmers and watching the Olympics and stuff like that. So I think watching Elizabeth play will be super, super cool. And just having people who aren't normal people, I guess, into the show is super cool to see.
Yeah, I think it's interesting too because they have a lot of water challenges, so it'll be cool to see like how much she outclasses everyone else in the water challenges. So
Yeah.
I want her to win just because I think it would be cool.
And like she is athletic, obviously being in the Olympics and would be good in the water. So I feel like she wouldn't be an early boot necessarily. And I think like she seems fun, quirky, relatable. And so I feel like she could get along really well with her tribe. And she's a strong female. And so those usually don't get voted out early. So I think she can make it far. And like having someone who's good at swimming, we'll see how many swimming challenges there are on the season. But like that's a huge advantage. And I don't know. She says she's most like Kara. And I think that's a new one. I feel like we don't really see a lot of people pick people from seasons who don't either win or become super memorable. So like I appreciate the Kara pick for which Survivor contestant are you most like?
Yeah, the only reason I wouldn't pick Kara is because of her whole like showmance thing, but I guess yeah, I do appreciate the uniqueness of it. So
Yeah, I like Elizabeth. I will be excited to watch her on my TV.
I too will be excited to watch her on my television.
So, moving on from Elizabeth, we have Karishma. She is 37 from Philadelphia. Now she's in Houston and she's a personal injury lawyer, one of two this season, coincidentally. And so, being a lawyer, I think Karishma can probably talk really well since, like, she does that every single freaking day. And so she could persuade the jury if she made final tribal council. She can probably persuade people to get things that she wants done or like vote the person that she wants out. I think with lawyers, I guess, maybe people, I feel like she definitely comes off as like the type A leader type. And so I think she needs to control herself and not come off as like super bossy because I feel like with lawyers, that could happen.
Yeah, yeah. I think that like the way she comes off, even just in her answers, seems like a little pushy. And she says that she's impulsive, which I think is going to be interesting. And I'm not sure how that works with her being a lawyer, but I am excited to see what Karishma does because she seems like she's going to be one of those contestants who either does really, really well or who like flops bad.
Yeah, I feel like she has or seemingly has a very strong personality. So it's either the type that gets booted early and is good TV, or also makes it really far and is also good TV, but like won't win the game kind of thing. And I like Karishma. She wants the brown girl representation and says she's like Natalie Anderson. And I'm like, okay, yes, we need more of this kind of representation on our TV. So let's go.
Yeah, and I'm really proud of her for like actively saying that because I feel like representation is really important and it's even like easy not easier. I feel like it's even better when people are like, "Yeah, I want more representation for people like me and that's part of the reason why I'm doing this." And hopefully someday we'll live in a world where that isn't like a factor. But
Yeah. So moving on, we have Missy, who is 24 from Georgia. Now she's in Washington and she's an Air Force veteran. Apparently, like she was in the Air Force and then the day after she was in Fiji. So that was interesting. For her hobbies, she said one of her hobbies is winning. And I was like, okay, is that funny or is that like cocky? But then when I watched her video when she's actually talking, I was like, okay, she's actually cool. And it like at first it came off as like, oh, that's sort of weird. I wouldn't write winning as my hobby, but she seems really cool, sassy, funny. She has a nice smile. So I think she could have a really good social game.
I also love that one of the words she uses to describe herself is decently dope. Like that's just I really like her just like from her profile. And yeah,
She's super accomplished too for only being 24 years old. She talks a lot about how she's traveled and stuff, being in the Air Force and all of that jazz. And so I feel like she would probably have a lot of good stories to tell, being relatable at camp, having that good social game. And she says in her video that she had a brain tumor and while she was in the military. And I'm like, wow, like she's a powerful girl. And so she also wants to be representation for people too.
yeah. And also, she said that she is most like Kim Spradlin, which I feel like is one of the most underrated Survivor contestants you're like.
Snaps.
Because it's like
Yes.
Kim dominated and she was amazing, and yet somehow people are never like, I want to be like Kim. They're always like, I want to be like Parvati. And it's like, y'all know I love Parvati, but also like, Kim Spradlin deserves your respect.
Yeah, next season too, season 40. Then like watch, season 41, everyone's going to be talking about the people that do really well in 40 again. And I'm like, okay, where were you last year?
Yeah, I think it's like one of those things that kind of goes in cycles. So,
Yeah, because there's a lot of Wendells that people pick. Like multiple people said that they want to play like Wendell. So very recency bias as well.
yeah, but I
But
feel like that's always going to be
the case.
that way.
Yeah, so moving on, we have Ronnie. He is 35, living in Nebraska now. He's a professional poker player. And when I read that, I was thinking, like, those don't tend to do that well on Survivor. They're usually early boots or they don't make the merge from the past few seasons that we've got with professional poker players. I feel like Ronnie, his face just looks, I don't know, sort of punchable.
Oh my god, I thought the same thing and I thought I was just being mean, but no, he totally looks punchable.
Just something, I don't know, something about it. He just has that kind of face that I just can't look at. I don't know. Maybe he's got like surgery or something done. He just something's weird with it.
Yeah, I totally agree with you about like the history of professional poker players. Like when I saw he was a pro poker player, that was my first like thought that they don't seem to do that well in Survivor. And I think also kind of like salesmen, they have a reputation for being a little bit sleazy. So
So
I think
I hope he probably is going to lie about being a poker player because if you
the
tell
thing is,
people
if
that,
any of these people follow poker, they'll know because he's like he had the most consecutive cashes in the World Series of Poker. So it's like that's a big poker event. If anyone is a poker fan, they'd probably recognize his name and his face. So
oh,
it's one of those
that's a face
things.
that you can't forget.
Yeah, can't forget how much you want to punch it. But it's one of those things where it's hard for certain people to lie about their jobs. Like, shoot, what was his name? The basketball player.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because he's just so tall.
Yeah,
I feel like Dean can lie about being a salesman. If you're a professional athlete, it's a little harder or like in the public eye. So if you did Big Brother and then came on Survivor, a little bit difficult to lie about it. Professional poker player, I guess it depends if anyone is like a fan of him or anything like that. But if no one is, I think he should be lying about what he does for a living because if you say you're a pro poker player, first thing that comes to my mind is that you're good at strategy. You can play people really well. You can bluff people really well. You have a good face for bluffing. And so I think that's his downfall, sort of. And maybe that's why poker players don't make it that far. But Ronnie also looks very tall. He looks like he can be good at physical challenges, so he would be a threat in that aspect as well. I don't know. So, just something about him. He says Survivor player he's most like is Boston Rob. And I'm like, okay, good for you. You can maybe meet him this season. That's
I was gonna
awesome.
say if he meets Boston Rob, I want to see him like shit his pants. Just be like, oh my
Yeah,
god, it's Boston Rob.
but like Ronnie and Aaron, the first person we talked about on this tribe, I'm just like, eh. They just sort of look the same, sort of remind me of the same kind of like archetype. I'd rather see more of Dean's and like the Jack guy, the long-haired dude from the other tribe versus Ronnie and Aaron's.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't have a personal investment in Ronnie, and I feel like if he won the game, I would be upset.
Yeah, Ronnie, he's got that face. It's like seared into the back of my eyelids.
I think it might be his bangs. His bangs are weird.
Let me look at this photo. Let me zoom in a little bit. Yeah, it's like his haircut looks sort of like a bull haircut. But maybe he'll be island hot because that happens for people. So moving on for the next person, we have Tom, who is 60 years old. Yay for age representation on the show. He's originally from Canada, living in Connecticut now, and he's a former NHL player. So I was like, okay, he used to be a professional athlete, does not look like it anymore, but that's okay. He aged. He says he doesn't like heights. And I was like, I wish they did the challenges that Survivor Australia does, making them jump off of really high things, because I think that's fun to watch. Watching people either can't do it and they let down their tribe, or they push themselves outside of their comfort zone and they're able to jump and do it. I just think Australian Survivor has better challenges than the United States version, even though Australian, they're a little more physical, so it's harder for the less physical people to like make it past the first few weeks. But I just think their challenges are better, and Survivor US needs to take something from their handbook. But I thought it was interesting that Tom didn't like heights.
I think that one of the differences between like Survivor Australia and Survivor United States might be like the waivers they have to sign. Like maybe Survivor US does less physical stuff so they can not get sued if something awful happens. Because considering like the amount of like injuries that happen with the current like physical challenges in Survivor America, it was, if they tried to do even more physical challenges, I feel like people would get hurt a lot more.
Yeah, triggered from Survivor Australia, where Ross got hurt on the freaking challenge and then gets booted. I'm like, wow, that sucks. But Tom, I felt like his bio questions were sort of dry. I feel like the questions really didn't talk about anything. But Robert in the comments saying that Jeff is really high up on Tom, so he's probably one to watch if Jeff likes him. But I don't know. I just felt like his bio questions were sort of dry.
I feel like that might be a function of him being older and kind of like the no nonsense
That's
stuff.
true.
But I just looked it up. He was a defenseman in the NHL, which I think is interesting because like those are the guys that are like constantly like punching on each other. I don't really watch hockey, so I don't know much about like what being a defenseman in the NHL requires, but I feel like that would definitely give him more of like a rough and tumble personality.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to watch Tom with this kind of archetype, the older dude kind of thing. But he is a professional athlete, so maybe he can hold his weight in challenges. But I'm just nervous, and because it's sort of crappy that like older people could be an early boot, depending. But I do sort of feel like that the yellow tribe is stronger than the purple tribe, so maybe they won't have to go to tribal.
Yeah, I'm not sure which tribe I think is stronger right now, but I do agree that it's a shame that like older people tend to get booted first just because it's like they have so much to give.
Yeah. So, last person on the yellow tribe, we have Vince. He is 27 from California and a admissions counselor. He is very California basic, I think. His interests are singing, photography, thrifting, and going to cool cafes. I was like, wow. If that's like so California. And so
Yeah.
I really like Vince. I think he has a really cool background in his bio. He was talking that he's children of refugees. He's a person of color. He's part of the LGBTQ community. And he just seems so outgoing and fun that like I would want to be friends with him. He seems like he's fun to be around and he's going to be good TV.
Yeah, he seems to have like a really cool story. He also wrote a lot for all of his questions.
Yeah.
It's like each of
TLDR.
his questions he answered with as much as like Tom's entire bio. So,
So,
yeah.
yeah, Vince, I think he's very in tune with himself. Like, he is confident with himself. And I feel like that's very difficult for people to discover. And so he says he wants to inspire others. And so I'm like, yes, with a heart emoji I did on my notes. And so I feel like he could go out early, but he could also make it really far, which is sort of crappy because I feel like always people of color, people that are different get voted out early. And, you know, Vince might not necessarily be the most athletic dude on the tribe. So that could be going against him. But like, I really hope he's not an early boot. His personality sort of reminds me of Ovi from Big Brother this season. And I just like, no, I don't want you to be an early boot. Like, I want Vince to make it far in the game.
Yeah, I also would like to see him make it far just because, like, I don't know, he seems like a cool guy. I really should stop liking contestants based on, like, whether or not I like them as people. Because I feel like a lot of times the people I like as people are the people who are the worst at, like, Survivor. Rip.
I need to turn on my lights again.
Oh my goodness, Rachel. Ugh. You need to move around more, like get up and do some jumping jacks.
I know. This is not good for the podcast, having to keep getting up to turn on these lights. Like, what the heck? So, this rounds out the yellow tribe. We are going to go into the purple tribe now. So, purple tribe, starting with Dan, who is 48 from New York. He's in LA now and he's a talent manager. First thing I wrote down is that there are too many people named Dan. They need to stop. Similar to Jessica's and Natalie's, if you're named Dan, you can't be on the show anymore. Or just change a different name like War Dog did. No more Dans.
He has a cool last name too. Spilo? I think it's Spilo. But he looks like someone who's from New York City. Like I don't know how to explain it, but like you look
Like
at
a
him
mob
and you're
boss.
like, yeah. You look at him and you're like, yeah, he's a New Yorker. I wonder what it means to be like a talent manager though, because I feel like that's so vague.
Yeah, okay. I wrote in my notes, I want to know what kind of talent he manages. So is it like celebrities, actors, YouTubers? On his Instagram video, he was sort of talking how like being a manager of talent is similar to Survivor because you have to be cutthroat to get your talent the like role or the job, but he never really specified what it is. So, but I feel like if you're in LA, you can't be like a loser talent manager. He has to know famous people or at least semi-famous people. Like,
I
are you
just
talent
Googled
managing
it and
A-listers?
he has a picture with Jared Padalecki, the guy from Supernatural. So he knows some famous people.
I was like, I don't know who that is.
Yeah, he's one of the guys from Supernatural, so he's like kind of famous. So I think that he manages actors.
So I guess middle tier acting.
Sure.
Huh,
I would say
interesting.
B-list celebrities, maybe.
Yeah, I wonder if he'll like promise the people on the tribe, like, I can get you famous in LA. Keep me, do some backhand deals. But I feel like the girls this season, or even just the people in general, don't seem like the type that would fall for something like that. I feel like other seasons, you could definitely play that card with people that are just going on Survivor to play for clout or for fame. But I feel like this season, there's less of those people that are just like recruited or don't even know the show. It seems like these people actually want to play. So I think that's good.
Yeah, I think it's good too. But I am really interested to learn more about what famous people Dan knows, because you can't live in Los Angeles without knowing famous people. So
yeah, Dan, it says he's 48. He does not look 48 to me. I was like, oh, you're younger than my parents? Like, he looks older than 48.
I don't think so.
Maybe it's his hairline.
I think it's his hairline. I think that's it. But he says he respects emotional intelligence as much as he does like book smarts, which I think is interesting. So, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like he said he wants to be like Boston Rob for social games, so we need to see him poop his pants when he meets Boston Rob at the Island of Idols. Otherwise, I will be very angry. But with Dan, I think he can be an early boot. Being a talent manager, I feel like he could have like a type A personality where he is going to try to boss around the younger people on the tribe or try to get them to do what he wants kind of thing. So, Dan, I don't know. And also, I don't know if he can hold his weight in the challenges. He looks like semi not in shape and like the outwardly buff dudes would probably not get voted out versus when you're not as buff as the other guys kind of thing.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see where Dan goes. I would say he's like not someone I'm super looking hard at, especially considering like the other people in this season. So
Yeah, similar to Aaron, Ronnie, Dan is just also.
eh.
Change your name too. So, too many Dans. I'm confusion. So, next person we have is Jack. He is 23 from Virginia and he is a grad student. Jack. I'm like, okay, he's cute. He has the long haired boy archetype. And then I'm like, oh, he's not from California. What a surprise.
He says that he wants to be like Devin, which is like not that Devin is like a bad person to be like, but like again, don't say you want to be like people who aren't winners.
I was like, okay, Devin, I can also see they sort of look the same, have that like, surfer bra kind of, I smoke weed all day kind of like look kind vibes kind of thing. I feel like Jack could also remind me of Tyler from Big Brother 20 or Fabio who won. So I feel like he could play that sort of game, and he says he wants to be like underestimated because he has that sort of I'm dumb, laid back, long haired, dumb dude kind of thing, which is like exactly what I was thinking when I saw his photo. So it's good that he realizes that he comes off as that vibe and he has that kind of social awareness. And so if he is underestimated like that, I think he can make it very far because he does seem like a really, really fun dude to be around. Winning the game, I'm not sure because he is only 23. I'm not sure how well he can be respected because of his age, what he looks like, and all of that. But I think Jack can go far because he's like young and fit.
I also want to know what he's studying in grad school because I didn't see it mentioned anywhere. And yeah, I feel like that would give me a better idea of who he is as a person.
That's true. But even to do grad school, like you can't necessarily be super stupid. And Virginia, I want to know, are you at UVA or are you at somewhere else? And Virginia, are you at other places? Let us know, Jack. Please
I want to know everything, Jack.
Where do you live?
Speaking of, they have way too many J names on this tribe because they have Jack, Jamal, Janet, and Jason. And I'm like,
someone's
no.
got to change their name.
Someone needs to get voted out, and it's going to be Jack.
Yeah. So moving on, we have Jamal, who is 33 from New Jersey, also in Rhode Island now, and he's a college admin person. So similar to Vinny in like the school setting, which is another like juxtaposition, which I thought was interesting. But Jamal, he seems like a quirky, fun dude as well. In his bio, he says that he dislikes the bugs that leave itchy bug mites. He wouldn't bug bites. He wouldn't mind sharing his blood with other things, but why do they have to leave the itchy bug bite? So I was like, okay, very weird out of the box, but like not trying too hard to be relatable. So it's respectable.
But it's also totally relatable.
Yeah. And so Jeff said that Jamal was one of the first people they called for the season. So unless it's like a Pat situation last year where they get voted out or medically evacuated first, I think Jamal can make it far. But like this season also isn't a themed season, so it doesn't really matter. But if Jeff likes him, then we must like him.
Do we? I just think like I would like him regardless of whether Jeff liked him. He said that he was a varsity athlete. He was a tri-varsity athlete, which 3 sports. That's a lot of sports. That's 3 more sports than I play. He was also in an a cappella group and also in the spring play. Like, dude, what don't you do?
Did you not read that he went to Brown University, comma, an Ivy League school in Providence, Rhode Island? I was like, oh, why do you need to specify that? Like, do people not know that Brown is an Ivy League school in Providence, Rhode Island?
I mean, it's like the people who are like, yeah, I went to Yale.
Yeah, do you not know where that is located? Let me give you the city and the state. I went to Columbia in New York, New York.
I went to Harvard in, I don't know the city,
Boston?
Massachusetts.
Yeah. I don't know. I was like, oh, that's a little weird, but like, good for you. You're proud of your education kind of thing. Like, he's an inspiration. And I think that Jamal can make it far. He seems like he can have a good social game. He's good at making connections. And there's just something likable about him. And he says he wants to be like Sandra. So I was like, okay about that. But you better poop yourself when you meet her.
Yeah.
So Jamal, I think he can make it far. And I thought it was okay. Also, he says his inspiration is Barack Obama. And then I wrote, this is why representation is so important. Similar to Davey saying in his season that he wants to be an inspiration for people. I was like, okay, this is why we need representation. Survivor, come on.
Survivor, this season actually did really well as far as representation, I would say.
Better than other seasons, yes.
There's more than one Black person, which is already better than most seasons.
There's multiple Asian people, yeah, and multiple people with different sexualities. So, like, good for Survivor.
Yeah. But, like, they'll keep doing better, Survivor.
Exactly, because if all of the minorities get voted out, yikes. So next we have Janet, who is 59 from New Jersey originally, now is in Florida. She's a chief lifeguard. I wrote 59, yay. So some more age diversity there. I think she's a good swimmer like Elizabeth, the Olympic swimmer. So she can be a great asset to the team probably. And when you have swimming challenges, like Janet will be there unless you vote her out early because of her age. So SMH people, but I think she's an inspiration. She said that there were no women lifeguards, and then she became the first woman lifeguard in her area, and now she manages 130 lifeguards like at the beach or wherever. And so she's a leader.
Yeah, I think she had like very short answers like Tom did. So I'm still like not entirely sure of her personality, but I don't see anything that immediately like makes me dislike her. So
yeah, I feel like she looks like she could be tough and stern, and she like writes that she comes off that way. So at least like she realizes it, and so she can dispel that stereotype. But like, I don't know. Also, I feel like she could be an early boot because of her age, and maybe she can't get along well with other people in the tribe. But it's always just a shame that like something physical or like based on your looks gets you voted out early.
yeah, but that's the way humanity is. We make first impressions, and then even if we get data to the contrary, sometimes we go with what we thought we knew rather than the truth.
That's Survivor, a social game. But I do want to see at least Janet and Elizabeth make it to a swimming challenge, and I want to see them freaking race. So they better not vote her out early because I want to see a race happen.
The thing is, Elizabeth is going to win, but I feel like Janet might have more stamina. I guess what events did Elizabeth swim? Do you know that?
No, I don't know, but
come on, Rachel,
like
you're supposed
open
to
water
be...
swimming is definitely different from pool swimming, so maybe Janet could do better because it's open water swimming. So it'd be interesting. I would want to see them battle.
Apparently, she swam the 400 meter. So I don't know how long that is.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting if the first challenge this season, since they aren't doing like a marooning or anything like that, if the first challenge was like they nominate people to do certain aspects of the challenge. So you nominate someone to do the swimming, you nominate someone to do the puzzle, and then you like they volunteer and then they realize like, oh shoot, I'm not the only fast swimmer out here.
Yeah, like the hero challenges where people
Mm.
either look really good or really bad at the end of it.
Yeah. So, Janet, I think it can go either way. In our boot list tomorrow, we'll definitely have to figure out if we think she'll be an early boot. I think she could be an early boot.
Yeah, I think she could be too, but makes me sad.
So, next we have Jason. He is 32, also from New York, and he is another personal injury lawyer. And so he started his own firm for law, which I thought was neat. And then he also says that he's not going to tell people that he's a lawyer. So I was like, okay, yes, that's probably good. Just Jason, something about him. He says he wants to be or is most like Steven, Adam Klein, Cochrane 2.0, Rob Sesternino, and a little bit of Tony. And I
That's
can
just a
see it.
weird combination.
Like Jason in his video, he has that like nerdy look. Different from his photo. He just looks or just comes off as nerdy in person or in his video. So I could
Yeah,
totally see those like his picks for most like.
but it's also like you shouldn't need to pick 5 different players, but
Pick two.
pick like 3 maximum.
So, Jason, he says he doesn't want to come off the best at first. And he said his beginning of the game strategy is the shut the heck up strategy. I was like, okay, that's super funny. That's relatable. That's a fine strategy. If you shut the heck up, you will not be first voted out because you didn't necessarily brush people the wrong way, but you have to do something on the tribe, so you're not voted out because you're the lazy person on the tribe kind of thing. And something that was sort of red flaggy to me, he says he wants to disarm them with humor and self-deprecation. And then I was like, oh, you know who that reminds me of? Jacob Derwin. I was like, no, if you do that, you get voted out early. And then Jacob was just
Yeah,
sadness
it's
for
like there's
Jacob.
a fine line to walk between it being funny and it being just like awkward. Because it's like if you just meet someone and they start talking about how much they suck, you're like,
Oh,
what? So, yeah, I don't see him getting very far in this game.
yeah, I feel like Jason, like in the photo, he looks normal kind of thing. But when I saw his video, he just sort of comes off as a neurotic kind of antsy person that is going to be the shut the heck up strategy, but then actually does do talking and brushing people the wrong way. But I think it would be interesting to see if Jason can pull it off and he's able to like not have his nerves come out and he's able to like stay chill at the beginning. Cause I could definitely see him coming out and playing too hard.
Yeah, but I do not see any scenario where he wins.
Jason Derwin. Oh, yikes. So next we have Kelly, who is 29, originally from California, and now she's in Pennsylvania doing her MBA. So she's a smart girl. Apparently, she went to Harvard and now she's at Penn for her master's. So I was like, wow, smart person. And so she says she wants to hide her intelligence. And then I wrote, yeah, probably good, I guess. Like some people, they don't lie about their schooling and they've gone to Ivy Leagues and stuff like that. But I don't know. I think being Asian and then also fitting the smart person stereotype like sort of is crappy that people would judge you for that, but like also people will judge you for that.
Yeah. One of the things about her that I thought was like question mark, like it has nothing to do with her ability to win the game, is that she hates mayo and whipped cream and vanilla frosting and sour cream. And I'm like, what do you have against like white scoopable things? Like who hurt you?
Yeah, I guess something else questionable in her video, she was like, how do I be dumb? I was like, okay, I guess it can be funny, relatable, but then I was also like, Bradley said sort of similar things in his Ghost Island preseason interviews and like warranted he was trying to be the asshole kind of funny type. And it sort of comes across, but then it also really does come across like Bradley is an asshole. But just saying that you're better than other people or like, how do I be stupid? Is just sort of insinuating all these other people who may not have had the education or had the opportunity to go to college or like first gen are like not intelligent.
Yeah. I think it'll be interesting to see like whether or not she ends up being like an asshole. I'm hoping not though, because she seems like she could be an interesting player.
Yeah. So Kelly, I wonder if she can go far. Her bio is sort of bland with her questions and answers. So I just wonder, yeah, I'm sort of question mark about her.
Yeah, also I like that she recognizes that you need luck in order to win Survivor, but I don't know.
So moving on, we have Lauren, who is 28 from California, and she's a nanny. Lauren, I really like. She seems like the relatable, quirky type. She's like, I love eating hot Cheetos and binge watching true crime. I'm like, oh, wow. That's what every single girl says, but funny. And Jeff said within 5 seconds, they knew she'd be on the show. Lauren is also married, so I think that gives her an interesting, like, perspective, outlook kind of way on the tribe. She says she wants to go and find an idol, and I'm like, go for it. Yes, we like you, queen.
She also said that she does one of the best Britney Spears impressions anyone has ever heard. So
I was like, can that be aired? Maybe, maybe not because of copyright, but like my lights went off again. If it's one of the best, we have to hear it. And she says that she wants to play like Sandra. So I want her to freak out. We need to see this happen.
yeah, I really hope. But also, she also mentioned Sari, which I love because like the whole Oprah and a gangsta in an Oprah suit, like that line is iconic, and I don't see it brought back enough. So I'm really hoping that Lauren says the same thing about herself.
Only the true OGs will know. Yeah, I think I like Lauren. I feel like she could have a really good social game. She looks super friendly. Being a nanny, you have to be good with kids, good with people, with their parents. And she has such a like fun smile. Like I want to be her friend because her smile is just so inviting. And she writes that she wants to be the second Black woman to win this game. And I'm like, "Yes. Let's go."
Yeah. So I hope that she goes far as well. I think that her social game could be really good, but we'd have to see how the other aspects of her game shook out.
Yeah, so we'll delve more deep into it tomorrow when we do the boot list, where we think she'll fall. So next we have Molly, who is 28. She is from Boston, and now she's in North Carolina, and she's a law student. She can maybe learn some things from the two personal injury lawyers on the season. So I was like, OMG, another lawyer. That's interesting. And I feel like similar to Chelsea, Molly seems like she is a guy's girl as well. She says she's super outdoorsy kind of thing. So I feel like she could make it far because she links up with the alpha males.
Yeah, I think she she just seemed kind of bland to me. Like nothing she said was like, "Oh, you're someone I really want to root for." Like she says her inspiration in life is her family. She says she wants to be like Parvati. Ooh.
And Wendell.
And Wendell.
But everyone said
Wow.
Wendell this season.
Yeah.
I think, she has that like goofy, fun look. Her hair is cool. And she has the big family. So I was like, okay, if you have that many siblings, cousins, whatever it was, you gotta maybe have a good social game. I think
But
something
she's
that
the
was,
oldest of them, so she could just bully
yeah.
them into submission.
I think something that was red flaggy was she wrote, I am smart, strong, and not annoying. And I was like, wait, if you have to say that you're not annoying, doesn't that mean that you're annoying? That's like when guys have to say, like, I'm a good guy. Girls should date me. But if you have to
I'm a
say you're a
nice
good guy,
guy.
yeah,
Yeah.
then you're not a good guy. So I feel like if you have to say you're not annoying, she seems like she talks a lot.
Yeah. Like, no one should specify that they're not annoying. Like, we don't automatically assume you're annoying.
But now it's in my mind and I might think you're annoying.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think something else, Jeff also said she's definitely a threat to win the game. So Molly could be up there.
I don't care what you say, Jeff.
If she writes she's annoying, she must be annoying. She can't be not annoying now. So next we have Nora, who is 36, originally from London, and now she's in Maryland, which is Alyssa and I's home state. So we have to like her, I guess, about that, but I'm sort of iffy about Nora. She's an entrepreneur. She's a fitness looking girl. Out of like the girls on this tribe, she definitely looks the most buff, kind of athletic looking. Something she wrote, she says, I don't drink and I've never done a drug or smoked a cigarette in her life. And I was like, oh, why is that something that you have to write?
Yeah. I don't understand that either. But I don't know. Like you said, she does look buff. She says she's energetic. She's had a lot of different jobs, you know?
Yeah, I think she says she's intense, and I could definitely see that. Like, she looks sort of scary, comes off like strong personality, a little bit bossy, kind of. But like entrepreneur, you probably are good at talking, winning over people. Just Nora, also entrepreneurs, you probably have like a go get them mentality, type A personality. And I wonder if she has a company or whatever she does, like, does she run a company? So is it like Natalie from last season who was CEO and you're used to being bossy? Or is it more like you're a startup entrepreneur, kind of going from the ground up kind of entrepreneur? So I don't know. I'm sort of iffy about her. She just seems like she talks a lot and like can be very intense and bossy.
Yeah, I feel like bossiness is the thing that a lot of people need to watch out for because if you're used to always being in charge, then it can be very difficult to like not be.
Yeah. So, last but not least, we have Tommy, who is 26, also from New York, and he's a fourth grade teacher. He says he dislikes bullies. I was like, wow, actually, multiple people wrote that on their bio. I was like, that's a first. He also says he's outgoing, competitive, and goofy. I was like, ah, yes, redhead.
He
Another
also
redhead.
says LOL in his like bio. He says he cannot stand grumpy and serious people. Lighten up. Life is amazing. Let me see that smile. LOL.
Just, he is cute. But there's something off about him. In the bucket list video on Survivor on CBS on YouTube, he says he does not have a Survivor bucket list. He thinks bucket lists are bad because then you get pigeonholed. Which I'm like, okay, yes, warranted. But also, like, come on, lighten up. You don't like serious people, but don't you have a Survivor bucket list like finding an idol, making the family visit? There's got to be something you want. Like, if your first boot, are you okay with it? So I was like, that's a little weird.
Yeah. I just
And
like the fact that he's specifically a fourth grade teacher. I'm like, why didn't they just say elementary school teacher? What is special
no,
about fourth grade?
apparently, okay, in his video on Instagram, he says he didn't have a lot of friends growing up. So I was like, oh no, sad. And so fourth grade was his really changing time for him, where the teacher really changed his life. And that's why he's a fourth grade teacher or something like that.
I still remember my fourth grade teacher.
Dude, I don't
Flashbacks.
remember.
You don't remember? Oh my
Who was
goodness.
yours?
I'm not going to tell you. Uh,
Stalkers on the internet?
yeah,
So,
stalkers on the internet.
Tommy, he seems fun. I feel like he comes off a little strong as well, like too in your face, holier than thou kind of.
Yeah, I think he'll probably be like late pre-merge or like early merge.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, then that kind of body type too will get you voted out at merge because he's fit dude. And like he's attractive, so maybe people will keep him around. But I don't know. He's sort of like but like he seemed cool before I watched his video.
Eh, there's something about him, like you said about what's his face, that just seems a little off. So
Alyssa, Bing Bong in the chat says that you remind them of Cass.
yikes. I'm not sure whether or not that's supposed to be a compliment. We're just gonna move on from that.
Cass
So,
made it far.
but is she a good person? Is she likable?
Yes, please explain Bing Bong. We want to know now.
Yeah, but yeah, Tommy was the last of our cast that we assessed. Like we said, we're going to be doing our boot list tomorrow. We're probably not going to be like talking as much about the boot list just because we talked about our general impressions of the people already today. But yeah, if
Yeah.
you apparently
So,
Bing Bong thinks Cass is the best survivor of all time. So I guess that
oh,
it
it's a
is
compliment.
intended to be a compliment. Sometimes people say things and I'm like, is that supposed to be a compliment? But thank you.
No, Alyssa, we started from the bottom. Now we're at the top. Literally, you got comments all the time that your walls look like a prison. Now my walls look like a prison cell. So,
yeah, I
oh,
have a window, guys. So you can.
yo, they give you that in prison?
I'm not
Wow,
in prison.
you upgraded your room there. What'd you do?
But anyways,
Yes,
we
boot list. Boot
boot
list
list tomorrow.
tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. Pacific, 12:30 p.m. Eastern, if you can translate those times into wherever you live. And also, yes, Robert in the chat also, 2:14 a.m. in the UK when we started this. So thank you all for watching. And if you do want to watch us live tomorrow, those are the times for a boot list. Do your boot list tonight so you can maybe compare. Do we have the same winner pick first boot? It's going to be hard. I think everyone is sort of equal playing field.
Yep. Let us know down in the comments below if there's anything you said that you greatly disagree with, if there's anything we said that you are like, yeah, you totally got it right, or if there's anything that you think we missed. So, yeah, we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.